And joining us now for perspective is senior journalist Ashok Tandon. Mr. Tandon, welcome to DD India. A very happy Independence Day to you. What are your first thoughts after hearing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Independence Day address?
Yeah, I think it was a visionary statement from a leader who is leading from the front. And he outlined his vision in various sectors, as you also very rightly mentioning, to make India a Viksit Bharat by 2047 and make it self-reliant in every sector or segment of our life. But I think if I start with the first major takeaway, it was a message to people across the border, and the kind of cyber rattling they have been making, the leaders or the general need has been making. So the Prime Minister gave a very befitting response to that, and he said India is not going to be cowed down by the nuclear blackmail. That is very clear. Therefore, I think to begin with, and then he also mentioned about the Indus Water Treaty. He said it has been one-sided, it has been to the disadvantage of India, and therefore, and he said the blood and water cannot flow together. So I think to begin with, mentioning what people from across the border have been talking about was a good response. And in that context, he said, we have already demonstrated our strength through the Operation Sindoor. And we have achieved our targets. And therefore, now our armed forces have been given a free hand. It is for our armed forces to decide the timing, to decide the strategy, and also the way they want to respond to any threat coming to India's security. I think that message to people on the other side of the border, they must understand this, that this is the Prime Minister who will not be cowed down by the kind of threat they have been making. So I think that was the beginning of it. So then he talked a lot of, as you have also talked about the Sudarshan Chakra, about the security aspect. So security, different kinds of security, whether it's a food security, whether it is a social security, whether it's an economic security, or whether it is defense security. All these things were gradually, one by one, mentioned by the Prime Minister, and several missions have also been announced to fulfill the dream of Viksit Bharat and a self-reliant Bharat. I think to begin with, if I may start with the semiconductor, it's a very important thing which the Prime Minister mentioned. So semiconductor, India is going to be self-reliant, and India, made in India kit will be very soon available in the market as far as semiconductors are concerned. He said for decades, nobody even bothered about certain fields like energy, and now we are having nuclear energy. Our focus is on nuclear energy, and by 2047, our nuclear energy also will be enhanced by 10 times. So reforms in nuclear energy and the global warming. So number of issues which the Prime Minister touched upon. Then he also talked about the ocean exploration mission, ocean oil exploration mission, which India is going to do. Then the National Deep Water Exploration Mission, all these things, and the critical minerals mission, national critical mission for space. Also, Prime Minister gave details about how our space sector is now coming to an end, and Gaganyaan will now be, and then India also, is going to shortly have its own, space center. So these are developmental issues also. And then one by one, the Prime Minister, talked about various achievements in the last 11 years. And then we can go on and talk about the economic and IT era, cyber security, our UPI platform. Then he talked about fertilizers, how, we are dependent for fertilizer on foreign countries. Now we will have to develop our own fertilizer system, and he has invited the private sector also to come forward and do the needful in making India fertilizer self-reliant.
Yes, he also talked about double bonanza really for the people. One is the next generation GST reforms and the other is the employment scheme. Mr. Tandon, what do you make of those two prospects that would be very close to every common person's heart?
See, I think he, in that context, also talked about women's self-help groups, if you remember that. And then he, Lakpati Didi, 3 crore target, 2 crore Lakpati Didi, already the target has been achieved.
Yes, Mr. Tandon, he was speaking of two key announcements. One, of course, is to incentivize youth to take employment and companies to give employment. So it's a double incentive scheme that is meant for employment, which the Prime Minister announced today. And he said that this is being launched from today itself. And on GST, he said that many products now will become far cheaper because the tax is now going to go down.
Yes,
and that is expected by Diwali.
Yeah.
So that he is calling second generation GST reform. So do you think that these are two big announcements in the Prime Minister's address, which are going to be very people centric, which are going to help the common man, especially the youth in the case of employment?
Certainly, he said the Diwali gift is going to be made for the people of India will be a new generation GST reforms. So number of schemes were announced, but you have very rightly said that the Diwali gift will be tax reforms have been made, and it's going to benefit the people. And he talked about the our foreign exchange are strong, our micro economy. Then the global rating also is now being improved by the rating agencies. And as you said, 1 lakh scheme for youth, PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana. And in that, you also very rightly mentioned, the private sector is now being roped into it, and 15,000 rupees will be given, and the private sector which will generate employment will be given incentives. So that also, and 3.5 crore youth employment opportunities for youth are going to be generated. And women empowerment, we have already talked about. Lakpati Didi. He also talked about the farmers.
Yes, we will come to that. A very significant point, in fact, he made on farmers, saying that as far as the interests of farmers, the dairy farmers as well as the poultry farmers are concerned, and farmers in general and fishermen are concerned, he will stand as a rock if their interests were to be sought to be compromised by any power. It